When we're on a boat together, we have to learn obedience to get success. And when we in the boat, especially God's boat, we know that we're going to have protection. But sometimes when we make wrong choices, we end up on the wrong boat. But we follow Jesus and we walk on the straight and narrow. We get ourselves in a boat of blessings. There's blessings in the boat. But sometimes in our life, we turn around corner, boy, and we end up getting wrecked. Let's talk about that today. Sometimes no matter how we try to do our best, we end up falling short. We end up really in a disaster, and we often wonder why. And there's a passage of scripture that describes, going from one bad situation to the next. And warning signs are there, but because of choices and because, everything in our life is not dependent on us alone. There are other people involved, and decisions that they make affect us, and we come in disaster. And what can we see today to help us to keep moving forward when we end up on a boat that ends up in a shipwreck? Paul was on such a boat. Paul was arrested and appealed and wanted to go to Caesar in Rome to appeal his case, present his case. And so on the way to Rome now, Luke is with him. Luke is writing in this part of Acts of the Apostles. And in Acts 27, let me just see if I can summarize it as much as quickly as possible. The captain of the soldiers who are guarding the prisoners is Julius. And now they go on a ship where there's another captain. So it's two captains. Captain of the ship and the captain of the guard of soldiers who are guarding the prisoners. So they went aboard a ship from Adrantium that was going to sail along the ports along the coast of Asia, right? And they came to shore at Sidon, and they stopped to let Paul meet some friends and collect some stuff for the journey. When they left Sidon, they sailed close to the island of Cyprus to be safe from the wind, continued past Cilicia and Pamphylia, and to the port of Myra in Lycia. And then the captain of the ship found a ship from Alexandria that was going to Italy, so they switched ships. So there's another captain now, and Luke is writing there, narrating and saying, "Look, we have this wind that was just against us the whole time." And to cut the long story short, they ended up in a place called Fair Havens. And they said this place wasn't a good place to spend the winter. There, because of the winds and the setbacks, they missed a certain time. Great day of forgiveness. I don't know what that was, but I guess that's a time, some special day where they say, well, you're safe up to this moment, but after that you're not safe again. I'll check it out. Okay, so I checked it out. On the first day of the Sabbath month in Judaism, on the first day of the Sabbath month, there is called Rosh Hashanah, and this is the first day of the Sabbath month is a day of forgiveness of sins. You're asking God for forgiveness of sins, right? Now, then after that, from the second day of the Sabbath month to the ninth day, they call the days of awe, right? High holy days. I can't pronounce the Jewish way, Yanim Noraim, Yanim Noraim, right? And then you have Yom Kippur, which is the day of atonement, the same one where he talks about, and that is on the 10th day of the Sabbath month. So between the first day of the Sabbath month and the 10th day of the Sabbath month, you have all this time in there where the Jews try to go to the synagogue, where they try to ask for forgiveness, public and private petitions and confessions of guilt and sin are made. So the last chance you get, because they say, okay, you have between that period, if you don't ask for forgiveness or whatever, between that period, on that day, which is the 10th day of the Sabbath month, after that day is passed, then it's too late to try to get forgiveness. So Luke was saying in the passage that they had been delayed so much that they even passed this day, and it didn't make no sense them trying to get over, because they never get to the synagogue, because this day was no pass, and whatever was done was sealed. All right, good. And then they decided to try to get along to the coast on the coast of Crete as far as Phoenix, and they felt okay they will spend the winter there. But on the way there, they ended up in trouble, great storm, and could hardly see in the night. There was a struggle, and Paul says, well, he should have listened to me when I said, let's not go, because the captain, which is Julius, captain of the prisoners, listened to the captain of the ship, and he said, no, but we are experts. We don't need to listen to the preacher man. And what the preacher man said is best to stay put. But then Paul comes up and says, listen, you should have listened to me. If you had stayed on in Crete, you would not have this damage and loss. But now I beg you to cheer up, because you will be saved. Only the ship will be lost. I belong to God and I worship him. Last night he sent an angel to tell me, Paul, don't be afraid. You will stand trial before the emperor. And because of you, God will save the lives of everyone on the ship. Cheer up. I am sure that God will do exactly what he promised. But we will first be shipwrecked on some island. So he lays it out for them. He said, listen, man, we're on a journey, we can't turn back. Now, if you do as I say, just know that because I am on the ship and God has promised me that I am going to see the emperor, everyone will be saved. But you follow my instructions. Now, this is a total difference to when Jonah was in the boat and he caused a whole sort of disaster because he was on the wrong boat. Now, Paul, the right man, is on the boat because he is God's man. And because he worshiped God, God promised that he will protect the others. And this is a blessing on the boat as well as protection. But they're still going to experience the shipwreck. And at the end of that chapter, the boat ended up in pieces because they were heading into a port, and the boat hit a sandbar and crashed. But they followed the advice of Paul. Everybody held on to some pieces of board from the ship. No prisoners were killed. No prisoners escaped. The sailors were there. Everybody ended up on dry land, safe. But remember, obedience. Once we're in that boat, whatever happens on the boat, it's going to happen to everybody. So you will survive. The promise is that though you may be wrecked, though your ship may end up wrecked, you will survive. It reminds me of Paul writing to the church in Corinth in 1 Corinthians chapter 3. And he says, every man's work will be tested as if you're going through a fire. But it's your work that will be tested. you will escape as someone who barely managing to get away from the fire. But your work will be tested to see whether it stands up, which means whether you are faithful to God, whether your word is true in terms of your willingness to serve God, in terms of your holiness, in terms of your witness. That will be tested, but you will survive. You will not die. And there various times in our life, in our spiritual life, various times in our regular life, we will go through what we would refer to as the shipwreck, because we were in that boat traveling, heading towards destination success, destination prosperity, and we end up in destination failure, wreck. The plan mashed up, as even though it had seemed if it was going to be steady. My dear friends, I encourage you to hold on, and to hold on tight. Stay in the boat. Don't try to jump ship, because some things we can't run away from. We just have to go through it. Some things we can run away from or run around. We just have to go through it. And God, if it is God's will, if it is God's command, if it is God's work, well then God will not leave us alone in the struggle. And so put that in every aspect, every sphere of your life, and be encouraged today. My grateful moment. What is my grateful? Boy, I think I should say that several times I experienced shipwreck. Certain times I experienced struggle along the way, and it was hard to experience it, like to go through, but looking to God for strength and help, he was able to sustain me. Remember the same verse that I quoted yesterday, Psalm 34. This poor man cried, and the Lord heard him and delivered him from all his fears. So this is my encouragement, my testimony, my encouragement to you. Give God thanks even though you go through setbacks, obstacles along the way. Trusting Him. Keep going forward. He will help you to reach to the end. Bite-sized boost. Bite-sized boost says, Yuri Kochiyama, I hope I pronounced that right. Yuri Kochiyama says, life is not what you alone make it. Life is the input of everyone who touched your life and every experience that entered it. We are all part of one another. And strange enough, I see this because I said to people that I meet when I move to a new country, a new appointment, I'm going to celebrate my birthday here. I'm going to celebrate certain things. You're going to celebrate. And I'm going to be sad here. You're going to be sad. Somebody's going to die. We're going to witness all these things together. Now, forever, you are part of my life history. I am part of yours. So we got to remember that when we move in together, we are all part of one another. Our lives are affected by the people that we meet and interact with. Right? Let me read that once again. Life is not what you alone make it. Life is the input of everyone who touched your life and every experience that entered it. We are all part of one another. Right? Mark Twain says, never regret anything that made you smile. Never regret anything that made you smile. Eleanor Roosevelt says, you must do the thing you think you cannot do. You must do the thing you think you cannot do. Buddha says, if you want to fly, give up everything that weighs you down. Nelson Mandela says, I never lose. Either I win or I learn. I never lose. Either I win or I learn. You see? When you put losing as a learning experience and not seeing it as a failure. I either win from an experience or I learn from it, but I never lose. Okay? So today is the opportunity to build the tomorrow that you want. That is what Ken Perot says, right? And C.S. Lewis says, getting over a painful experience, like a shipwreck, getting over a painful experience is much like crossing the monkey bars. You have to let go at some point in order to move forward. We are going forward. We got to let go at some point and let God take control. Let Him help you put the pieces back of that wreck together and keep the boat sailing. Look forward to seeing you in our next video. You can click right on the top to find it.